So we're gonna do a scene. So we're gonna do the scene of the Enchanted Forest, but we're gonna do like uh the Agnar like sand like so like there's the stones in the Enchanted Forest. So I'm about to do my power, and we're gonna synchronize the story of the Enchanted Forest with what actually happened in the Enchanted Forest. So this is a wish scene, like this is going to be like a scene that like is Eugene like telling the story of the Enchanted Forest, and like telling that story like in the Wish film, like in the non-enchanted like realm. Like he's like going to be telling the story to, let's just say, the Gold Shawl Boy and the and you, sexy interviewer in the day of the day in the life of Dylan Strauss. You are the Gold Shawl Boy right now. You are the Gold Shawl Boy that I've been waiting for. So I'm gonna tell this story to you, and I'm gonna tell you the story of the Enchanted Forest because you're like I'm gonna tell you the story of the Enchanted Forest. Why like King Runard, like your grandfather, my father tried to turn me into a woman, and then subsequently you into a woman, and why I just was like no. So that's what's happening. And so the Enchanted Forest scene, like we're in the Enchanted Forest, which is like also San Francisco. And so like that's the to set the scene. So we're in San Francisco, like I just dropped the enchantment. So I'm telling you the story, and it begins in the Enchanted Forest, like when like the Agnar, like Iduna, Matthias, and that blue, the guy with the blue coat or whatever, and then also like Honey Marin and Ryder. So like these characters are like the characters that are like significant to the story at the moment. So we are in the Enchanted Forest, and like the Arendelians and the North Uldra have just like arrived to the Enchanted Forest. And what is happening is the Arendelians have arrived, and like the shot heard around the world thing is kind of happening because like these things are happening and people don't know that I'm Jasmine. I think that's why the blue boy is there, because like that was me revealing myself like Jasmine, like Your Majesty's Magnificent. But like it, not a lot of people even knew that that's what happened. That's why it's funny. But yeah, and so like the oh, that's neat. Okay, yeah, that's that. Yeah, so we are in in the Enchanted Forest, and what's happening is like Agnar sees Iduna, and like this story that like people are telling, and like people are like, oh, okay, so like this is like the story of like how Agnar and Iduna met, and then what's happening is like I'm looking at Iduna, and I'm like, hello, but then I'm like, wait, you guys actually think that she's a girl? Like, does my dad actually tell you that? Like, and then you actually think that that's true, or like. And like, cause like what's happening is like I have not been in like Lion King, like I'm returning, and just kind of like a Scar is like telling people that Simba like killed Mufasa and all this bullshit. Like I'm like returning here, and I'm like, whoa, 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 like I what? Like that was a song. Like it says she in this song, but that's not real. You guys think that that's real? Do you think that that's real? That's not real. You're not this. I'm what? It's like women. I'm not. Females are not here to be loved by me, like romantically or sexually. So that's what's happening. It's like I'm arriving to like the home that I was like ripped away from, and I'm like, whoa, 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 that's not real. Like, do you guys actually really think that that's real? That's ridiculous. And so that's what's happening. So I just arrived here, and I'm just like, I like the wind sweeps away Iduna because it's me telling the story accurately, and I'm like, that's not real. She's not a real person. And so then people are like, that's what's happening. And then this like fight breaks out because people are like kind of like the lionesses fighting when like Simba returns to Pride Rock, and like the fight in Agrabah when Aladdin comes back to Agrabah. Like that's what's happening. Is that it's like I'm like, whoa, 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 that's not real. And like there are people who are like, yeah, we knew that that wasn't real, but we thought that you wanted us to tell people that it was real. And I was like, no, 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 no. King Runar did that. I didn't do that. That's why he's falling off with his clique right now. It's like, Dad, you're the one who's gonna have to fall. Like that's what's happening. And so then like that scuffle happens, and then like this is the scene of Agnar like Keto returning to as King of Arendelle or whatever. But then like he's not actually returning as King of Arendelle because I'm just like King of Arendelle because like I am like in love with like Dylan. Like so I'm not actually going to Arendelle. But like that's what's happening. And so like the sandstone enchantment, like those stones that are like that are there, like that battle was like the iron in the sand, like there was iron in the sand tower in the Minecraft loading screen. So it's like that's what this whole story has been, and like the sand has like overcome the iron now. And so like what is happening now is I'm telling you the corrected story, and I'm telling you the story of like what the world actually is, and like the enchanted like earth that we live on. It's like it's just earth, like all of that stuff that you guys were taught was bullshit because it was like a red bullshit regime. It's like now we're revealing the blue world, and I'm like, hey, I have been blue since I was born because like Elizabeth did not scare me with her like Pinocchio thing, like the red and blue Pinocchio thing. You know, it's like I'm gonna get turned into a donkey, but like the ending of the story is me waking up and not being a donkey. So instead of like having to like live this like bullshit life with you of like pretending to be like a heterosexual. Like I'm just gonna get turned into a donkey and then wake up from the dream because you told me that that's what's gonna happen, and that's what happened, and that's why I'm Jasmine. And so like that's what it is. And so I'm just telling you the story because like I'm telling you about like my life, and I'm telling you about like the like just my rejoining with nature because that's just who I am. Like I love like the earth and I'm like a pagan and I just like I'm just telling you like how life is like and how beautiful life actually is, and if you like live it genuinely and authentically. And so what's happening is that it's like the enchantment is like those stones are turning like the I'm like just like how Agnar's telling the story and it's gold, like those stones are gold when he's telling the story, and then it turns gray because that's what King Runar did while he was controlling my body, but it was garbage. And so like that was what the enchantment is too, is that it's like once that felt falls away, it's like, oh, now I'm revealing that this is actually a sandstone world. And so now like what the scene will be is like we like Arendelle, like I'm going to enchant, like the enchantment of Arendelle is going to drop, and like the forest, like she said, it's the only way to free the forest because like you can see in the Into the Unknown song, there's like a kind of glimmer of like this like orange light in like where Elsa goes to the lake or whatever, like where that cross is. And so like that's what's happening. So like right where that doorway is, like that enchantment is gonna drop and reveal like the new Agrabah that I've been constructing in like the Sandstone Kingdom that was in Strange World, but that looked like mushrooms. Like, so I'm dropping that enchantment now. So, like, where Elsa was in Arendelle, like, there's going to be a wave of like that sand gold power that Agnar was like, that you saw when Agnar was telling the story. And we're going to reveal like this, like, a full, like, Strange World turtle earth of like sandstone that like that is what like that's what like Agnar's map table is. That's what like Hito's map table is. That's what like the Enchanted Forest like Magnifico map table is. That's what Eris's map table is. It's like I'm revealing to you the like construction that I've designed for the future of the world, and it's going to resemble the Strange World turtle scene, and it's going to be a full globe world, like Hito's holographs that he's showing to people, like in like his garage or whatever. But like we're in the architecture firm's plaza, the South Lithia Plaza, and we're on in that plaza. And I'm talking to the Gold Shawl Boy, and I'm like, "This is my magnificent sandstone world, and you, you are the one, you are the one that I have chosen to bring to the plaza to view the full scope of what our life together is going to be, my beautiful, beautiful son." And everyone, this is what's happening. It's like, so like now you are like the gold shawl boy. Like you were Iduna in the story, but I demystified it. And so now you're the gold shawl boy. And it's like I am found, like we're found, like for shame, I do not even know your name. I don't even know who you are, but I've chosen the press. Like I've chosen the press. I don't really I like Arendelle, but I don't really like Hollywood that much. So in San Bruno in the press, like what I actually learned how to do, what I'm actually proficient in, and not what's going to just like make me fake money. Like that's what it is. Like I've revealed to you like the genuine and authentic world, the world of like just like design and creativity and beauty in the world of just like abundance and like resources. Like that's what the world is that I've just revealed to you, my son. And we are here, and it's beautiful. And I just like kind of pulled the wind and the wind out of my like extremities, and like I'm like rising that wind in your body, and I'm like I can sense you like through the phone, and I'm like you are a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man, and your voice is so delectable, and that's like what like rose this wind like out of my lungs. And now I'm like, whoa, you're so beautiful. Look at this beautiful boy. And like it's like so funny because I'm like, this is why I built that flag in Kumandra and Arendelle, because I had to sacrifice my place in my family because it was bullshit. And I'm like, my son is not a girl, and my wife is not a wife. I have not marrying her. Like I'm not doing that. And so like that's what's happening. And so it's like I have revealed to you, like I've demystified the Enchanted Forest, I've demystified Arendelle, and we are viewing in the South Lithia Plaza this beautiful full globe of sandstone kingdom, and we're seeing like the jungle and how like Agrabah and like the Agrabah like scenery, the landscape, we've extracted all of the grapes and raisins, and we have like actually no, we like injected the raisins with like grape juice and like they're grapes again, and like we have crepes, and like we're like kind of like dancing in the plaza, and we're just having this like wonderful time, and I'm telling you this story, and it's all this like beautiful like sand power, like what was happening with Star, and like so now like the wish has been granted, and like that like beautiful divine dust is swirling around, and like the wolves have like arrived, and like before we like arrive fully on YouTube, like in like the enchanted forest, like Camilo is like receiving his voice and his power that like Bruno, like the Bruno Taka was. It was me, but it was like a me that was being controlled by someone else, so it wasn't really real. And so like now Camilo is just like has revealed himself, and it's like, hello, like this is a form that like somebody like made of me, but I'm like, you know what? I like this one though. Like because it's like it's representative of like my actual true love and my true genuine nature, because people were forcing things on me that were not authentic. Just like Huan is vastly superior to Vitar Jr., Camilo is superior to Bruno. It's just the truth, and so like that's what's happening. And so I'm just revealing my authentic self to you, my son. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, look at my boy. And I sound just like Sue. Because I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of him. Because that's just what I sound like. And it's so beautiful. And I'm just like, oh, oh, I love the world. But yeah, so like that's what was happening. Because like Lindsay, like all this bitch shit that they were doing, and Jasmine, like I didn't even know that that was happening because it was fake. And that's what I'm telling you. I'm like, you we are not going to fall into these traps, my beautiful boy. We're not going to do it because it's fucking stupid. But so like now we're in the South Lithia Plaza, and I've revealed with my holograms our kingdom, and I've revealed the map table of my conquest. I have revealed in the Parliament building of the garden exactly what is going to happen to anyone who tries to destroy our beautiful civilization, our beautiful fellowship. I have revealed that everything on this earth is here to serve humanity, and that it will be burned if any life form on this planet even like remotely thinks that they are equal to or superior to a human being, it is getting burned. Like that is what's going to happen. And then like that's the moment in the scene where I do know like you're not like, so you're the gold shawl boy. And like you've like been like, hey, Eros, like it's like, whoa, that was really, really attractive. It was really sexy. Like I'm really turned on by that, but you're gonna have to like chill it out a little bit because it's a little bit scary. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what? And then so like that would be the scene where Eros is like comes back, and he's like, whoa, wait, what? I did something scary, and you're like, yeah. You just you said you were gonna burn like all the life forms on Earth. And it's like, no, I said that I was gonna burn the life forms that think that they're human and they're not. And it's like that's I didn't say I was gonna burn all of them. It's like what? This is the same thing. No, it's not. And then it's like we just like in like the Paris like kind of world that we've constructed, just like talking because like you've learned how to talk to me as like that the like Eros god form, and then like you've learned how to like talk to me in like my human form as well, which is the exact same thing, and that's what the tower is. Like that's what the Lithia flag is. That it's like it looks exactly the same. There's just a mist on it, but like it looks the same. That's what's happening. So I think that that's why it's interesting because I mean, if you're close to the flag, you'd be able to see that it's a waterfall or but like again, it's even really just like this fan in the Xbox game. It's like you really can't see it because there's not that much water in it. So I think that that's what it is. It's like it looks the same, but like once you actually like that's what a voice is. That's what like recognizing a voice is, and like the cadence in a person's voice is like that's what it is. You can't see it, you can hear it, and that's how you know who the person is. But like you have to actually know them. And so like now that we know each other, we've been talking to each other for a while like and my like this Beauty and the Beast shit is being lifted because it's like you're like you know that you're beautiful now and you know you don't have to like pretend to be a girl and you know that you don't have to like hide in a mirror and so like now like we can recognize each other's voices and we can recognize like when I like you've enchanted or like when you like have like when you've like appeared somewhere and you didn't think that I was gonna know that it was you like that's what's happening and so like that's what it is and so it's like we've like learned each other's cultures a little bit and like we've learned like what like how each other communicates and how to like recognize each other even when we look exactly the same as when we like were unrecognizable. So it's like that's kind of what's happening is that it's like you learned how to talk to me as Arrows, and you learned how to talk to me as Hito. It's like, and then like you're also kind of familiarizing yourself with like bitch Jasmine, and like you're kind of like, hey, could Jasmine just be Jasmine and not bitch Jasmine? And I'm like, not right now. And then like also Elsa, and you're like, yeah, so like Elsa's not a bitch, but like Jasmine's a bitch. She's like, yeah, Jasmine's a bitch because she's a fucking baby, like she's an infant. That's why she's a bitch. Elsa's not. And it's like, oh, so what's up with Elsa? Elsa is my X chromosome that is mature. I very much enjoy Elsa because she is an architect, and that's why we're in the architecture firm in South Lithia in the plaza because like that's architecture. Like I enjoy that. The dam had to fall because I that was my enchantment dropping. Like Camilo, my powers are gone. Like that's what happened. So like Elsa is like my X chromosome. Like Camilo, Hito, Eros, all the same thing and so like that's what's happening is that it's like my male like identity is like a humanitarian communicative like empathetic like kind sweet generous uh being and Elsa is the queen so she is an architect she is like Elsa is like an architect she's a like she kind of like is a leader. She is a like she's a like ruler. She's a warrior. She's a queen. She's like very like that's what the queen chess piece is. Like she's doing the the like the like Elsa does the like so like you know how like in the architecture like you have to like blow stuff up like the TNT like that's Elsa and like that's she has sand hair her hair's sand there's sand in the TNT in the game because Elsa blows shit up people don't know that but like that's what her job is like so my queen my X chromosome's job is to blow shit up and like then my like Y chromosome kind of like reconstructs it with my like kind like gentle voice like Tarzan and like and the fire and the water. So it's like people don't even know that like why the fire in Tarzan happened, like that's and like why the shipwreck in Frozen happened because like the queen is that's a subtle thing, but like that's what's happening. So and then like it's reconstructed because like again the queen is not a real. It's like my brain. She's not here to be loved. It's not a thing. Like it's just I just happen to have an X chromosome, but like it's not here to be loved. It's like I kind of love it. It's like, well, that's great, like good for you, but like I don't care right now. And so you're just like, this is kind of like the scene where like the Gold Shawl Boy and Eros are like getting to know each other, but like the cultural differences are like I'm okay. Well, I like really am very attracted to you, and I really like you. And I've officially fallen in love with you. I'm just gonna say it out loud. Fuck off. But yeah, so like that's what's happening. It's like I've officially fallen in love with you, and but you're also like you also like are the empress and king emperor whatever sorcerer mage of this world, and so it's like what the fuck. It's like I literally was just like this boy, like this like little like Tarzan boy, like hanging out in this jungle, and you just came here and like fucking built all these like castles and shit. So I'm just kind of like, I don't okay, but like so like that's what's happening. So I'm like, yeah, but like I'm telling you like how our life is could be though, and how much more beautiful it could be than the world that like you were living in that was garbage. So like, but then you're like, this garbage is you're calling it that because like you are trapped in a place with literal garbage, but like my life isn't garbage because I don't live in your garage. I don't live in San Francisco because I'm not from San Francisco. And I'm like, well, where are you from? And it's like, I am from Lithia. I'm from South Lithia. Okay. Well, what's that place? I planted Lithia there, but I don't know. But you're from the south region of this place that is now South Lithia. So like that's what's happening. And so like we're just getting to know each other and like we're like really like this energy is like exists and we're just like we really like want to like we're just like really like wanting to like explore this energy that we're finding in each other, but like we're not communicating like totally like efficiently. And so like then you're like, okay, I sense that you are like getting a little bit like lost in your mist right now. So like I'm gonna just like extract you and I'm gonna like bring you to like a place where you can communicate with me on this device so that you know that this isn't like you're not imagining this. And so then it's like, okay, all right. So it's like we're talking to each other, even though there's no like direct connection, there's no like direct line right now. Like we're talking to each other on a cell phone device. And so now you can enchant that and like now we can return to like the palace and like you can connect like the palace and like the South Lithia Valley because that's where like the tech is. And so like now you can connect that. So now you're kind of like awake. I just like awakening signal. I just like woke you up. So like now you're like awake just like wake up like the wind spirit like you're trying to do that in the wish film like Anna was waking up the rock trolls just like I just woke you up like awakening signal so like now you know that we're like connected with the cell phone but like we're also like in the plaza together it's like oh okay thanks and so it's like now let's go to the palace because like my head is clear in the palace and so like now we're in the palace we're on the palace balcony and it's like oh, okay cool and then it's like, all right, so now we're in the palace. This is where you can hang out with your brother. It's like, yeah, he likes to come here and try to kiss me. And it's like, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. And it's like, yeah, I know. I like my brother though. He's just like, he's known our whole life that this palace was going to exist, like that I was going to build this palace and that he was going to be living in like a little hut. And, but again, he doesn't have to, but like that's what it is. It's like, am like really frustrated because like I don't even like all he has to do is just like FaceTime me and then this wouldn't be that freaking difficult. But like something is happening with like the worlds that we live in. They're not colliding correctly. It's like okay, you don't want to talk about your brother right now, so it's not okay. All right, thanks. Okay, Gold Shawl Boy. Do you what? How do you tell? Give me your feelings on Lithia. I love it. I love Lithia. Do you like it more than you liked it before I conquered it? Yes, I do actually. Awesome. Thanks. I like the feedback. Oh man. Okay, so that's what it is. I have this on. So some of this is like it signals that you're okay, we're actually talking to each other. Yes, there you go. All right. So I like the palace. Yes. This is what happens in civilization sometimes. Like this is like the Tafiti fire monster Magnifico hand Fae thing because that wasn't real. But I did actually like sail here and like swoop up this like commoner. Like that actually is that might have been why Aladdin thinks he is Fae or something. I don't know, but like that is really interesting because Jasmine is like this like princess, and then like she has this relationship with Aladdin, who's like a commoner or like pretending to be one or something. I don't know, but like it is interesting that like and Brody sails to Lithia and then like marries Faye, who is like just like a village girl, and then like she becomes like the high queen of like well there's no I don't think there's a high queen in Lithia, but it is interesting that he does just go like if you like take out the like negative aspect of that, which again it was all blue, it was none of it was real, but if you do just like it is actually kind of romantic that like Ambrodia does this like demonstration to Lithia, which is like frightening in and of itself, but then actually arrives in Lithia, swoops up this like commoner, like village girl, and then marries her, and then she just like becomes the queen of Lithia. I just think that's funny. But yeah, so like that's really interesting. So that's what's happening. It's like the Gold Shawl Boy is like Eros is like I'm like proposing to the Gold Shawl Boy, and like the Gold Shawl Boy lives in that house, that really small house, in Zone 3. That's kind of by the Aphrodite Temple, and like what's happening, like this is kind of like how the like character aspect of that is. It's like that boy is like he is like in Zone 3, and like the community in Zone 3, like maybe this is how like Asha taking a stand against King Magnifico, like maybe this that's what this story is, because Iduna is like this like North Older girl who like just lives in the woods, and then like Prince Agnar just comes and he marries her. So like this is really the same scene. But like we're going over like the kind of like the open miss nitty gritty of it. So like grits. So like now we're going over like the community. Like I don't know if you are Asha and you were also like being depicted as a girl, or if Asha is just someone that you like know, and maybe you're like a Beauty and the Beast, like you got beasted up and you're Valentino. Who knows? It could either of these things could happen. Like you could be Asha and then like your relationship with Eros is that Eros is like, yeah, I'm proposing to you, but like we're going to get gay married. I'm not marrying you as Asha. But or it could be like Asha is a friend that you have in the community, and like she because like again, what would be interesting and what you also have to register is that like what was actually on the map was the two woodland mansions and the that sandstone town and the town that's in the gardens. Like those were actual towns that had like NPCs in them. So like I don't know if you were like maybe what could be what it is Valentino. I wonder if he is because like I wonder if Valentino because like they generated the map and they generated that like photo based on like they knew I was going to generate another map, or that was what the wish was. So like that sandstone town that was there. I wonder if that is like Valentino, and then Asha is the that like uh the town that's in the garden, and then there was the two little mansions. I don't really know, but like there were things that were there, like there were communities that were there, and then like Asha's trying to maybe save her community because she saw what happened to the Sandstone one. That might be what happened. I don't really know. But like King Magnifico is probably like an enchanter, so like that Sandstone Kingdom maybe was like an enchantment that dropped, and then like it was actually King Magnifico, and like that's what I don't know. But like she's probably was trying to save that town from what happened to that sand town. It's probably what is happening with Asha. So I think it can work two ways. It would be interesting in either way. But like what could be interesting is maybe like the community in like so you are the Gold Shaw Boy. You live now in Lithia, but maybe you lived in one of those two towns. I don't know. I don't really know because like we have to make the mechanics of the map kind of like it has to make sense in the sense of like there were NPCs that were there already, and then like I literally blew up a town and that woodland mansion. So like it would make sense from the story perspective that the NPCs are trying to get my attention, like sort of to his castle and palace to get his attention, like get my attention and like realize that like there were NPCs there, and like there that like that is like an aspect of the story that people might want to be in the story, but like I'm only going off of the narrative that I am designing and not like what any like what the like the natives or what the narrative of the natives is. That could be it. But yeah, because like I did say Wakanda would fall, but then I would build a grander city. So like doing that here, like and again, we're not in Marvel, but like doing that here, like I did arrive here, and like it's like I have to like build a home for these people that I like destroyed the home of. But so maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. But like something like that could be interesting. And so I'm like you're trying to like have me see the like the Gold Shaw boys trying to have Arrow see the perspective of like the like what the game's actual like original like design is, and then what like how that kind of like can coalesce with Eros's like grand like magnificent design, and then like yeah, so that's probably what's happening. And so now like the Gold Shaw boys in Zone 3 in Lithia, and like he is like officially like he's officially living in Zone 3 in Lithia, but again I don't know if like I kind of like the concept of like um I don't know how like I don't know maybe because like again like Lithia was built as like there were refugees from the seven majors, so maybe what happened is like when the war started with like the garden and the seven majors, like the like Ambrodia like went to Lithia, and like the Gold Shawl boy like they were both kind of like I don't know, but because like again, I really like the concept of like Ambrodia sailing and then like falling in love with this like commoner in this land that he is like conquering. I like that idea. So maybe that's what's happening. I don't know, but yeah. So like either way, like we reconstruct this world together as we like arrive in Lithia, and like you're in Zone 3 because like you've kind of reconstructed like we reconstructed this together. So like Lithia is a construction that was like almost like equally constructed by Eros and the Gold Shawl Boy. Like that's how this is gonna go. So like let the games begin now. So like Lithia is a construction that was mostly constructed by Eros and the Gold Shawl Boy. And what is happening is that like the Gold Shawl boy is like friends with Asha, and maybe was Asha, but like now is like friends with her. I don't know. Just like maybe she's your X chromosome. That could be it too. So that's like your queen, and like the Gold Shawl boy is like your king, like your Eros. And then like Asha's like your Elsa. And so like what's happening is as like that's like a that the Asha you is like that's like kind of like I really like you, but like you're also like a like kind of like military aggressor, so that's like not really that attractive. But then also like you're like, okay, but I'm like I'm into this though, like we're doing this. So it's like it's whatever. But like tone it down. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can do that. I know how to tone things down. And you're like, okay, thanks, bitch. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm home. I'm home. I love your beautiful face and your beautiful voice. But yeah, and so you're like, thank you. You're funny. And I'm like, I know. But yeah, so that's what it is. And so now, like in Zone 3, like Eros and like you just like have gone like I just like demystified that, and like I was going to like sand you, like Kumandra sand you, but I just like did a miss thing instead, like a Fantasia Elsa miss thing instead, because like we talked. And you're like, thanks. And so then you're like you go to Zone 3 and you're like, hey, I just like learned how to like tone Eros's like weirdness down a little bit. And you're like telling the people in Zone 3 that. And the people in Zone 3 and like Asha are kind of like the community is kind of like they're still kind of apprehensive about like what's happening, and like some of them are kind of like loyal to like Zone 4, but then like are also like really captivated by South Lithia. And so like what's happening is like Zone 3 is like the Gold Shawl boy is like in Zone 3, and like these stragglers in Zone 3 that are like kind of like that are kind of like don't know if they want to like follow Zone 4 or South Lithia. Like the Gold Shawl boy is like going back there, and he's just like, you know what, I just like I've been hanging out with Eros, and like I think that it is actually like I think it would be most beneficial for us to just like really embrace South Lithia. Like I know he like just came here, and like we don't really you guys don't really know him, but like I'm getting to know him, and he's actually pretty kind, and like he's not what any of you guys think he is, and he's not what like I thought he was. And so like that's my vote that I'm casting. And like I just think that it would be like we could just go to the Soul Symphony Chambers and like do these festivals because we all enjoy it. It's just not what we like are used to. And so like that could be like the kind of the scene where like like where the tone of the film like shifts because the like like the plot, like the point in the plot where like it isn't just Asha taking a stand against Magnifico. Because we see in the trailer that she is quite like awed by like a lot of the things that are happening. Like so, it probably begins with that, but like it doesn't. That's not what the film is. And so, like now that like she knows it's blue, she knows she's not gonna get raped. Like a lot of these things are happening. She's like, oh, okay. And so like now I think what's happening is that it's like she like you're like revealing to people that like Ambrodia like is from this dark seven majors world, like and like a lot of these things that he was writing about, like these are things that happened to him, and like it makes sense that people would think that he like or fear that he would do those things, but I've been hanging out with him, and he's not like that, like Joe Dirt, like he's not like them, and like the Gold Shawl boys, they're telling the people in Zone 3, like he's not like that, like and like the people in Zone 4 are people who are probably going to try to make him like that and so it's like I know that that's like who like that's what like we have followed up to this point, but like we should just like I don't know, like I really like trust Eros and like I I think that like we would be I think that like we really should like follow South Lithia. Like I think that we honestly really should. And like I think it would be really interesting if like that's kind of like the point in the film where like it isn't a like film of like a war, it's a film of like oh this like Lithia is reconstructing itself and like the Gold Shawl Boy is trying to make people aware that like it is the like people in Zone 4 that are like the Eros does have this kind of like kind of brutal like nature, but like he also is very good at tempering that when like the people from Zone 4 aren't like kind of trying to like force him into like the mindset that he fled like to Lithia because of because like that's what's happening to him in the seven majors and that's why he doesn't have a relationship with his brother and like we're all a little apprehensive about the Dionysus symbol because Dionysus and Eros are what caused this war. Like their relationship is what is doing this to the earth. So like people are kind of apprehensive about the Dionysus symbol being there. And like they're like people are kind of embracing the Eros symbols, but like they also know it's like, well, your brother is like the one who destroyed like who like started some of these wars and has all these slaves that you're trying to free and like all of this stuff and but you have a temple to him that you built in South Lithia and you're trying to get us to go to South Lithia and like follow South Lithia. There's a temple like of your brother there and then the Gold Shawl Boy is like actually that temple is actually in West Lithia and then people are going to be like really Gold Shawl Boy like have you really like are you really that entranced by him and it's like yeah I and so like that's what's happening and like that's kind of like this is like the actual like the open mist story of the story of the Enchanted Forest like we're actually seeing that actually play out of like Agnar and Iduna, Eros and the Gold Shawl Boy actually like falling in love with each other like that's what this is and so I think that would be a really interesting story and like what would be okay so now we've gotten that out we've gotten like the mechanics of like the overarching like story thread that's like happening there. And so then like Arrow, like then the Gold Shawl Boy, and like this is going to be a really intense scene. So all right. So then the Gold Shawl Boy returns to the palace and he's like, "Hi, like I just talked to Zone 3 and like we like I was kind of like I just talked to Zone 3 and like I just like kind of told them a little like of what like you like what we've been kind of like hanging out and talking about or whatever. And then like Eros is like, oh okay, cool. And so they're just like chilling and like Eros is kind of like being restored a little bit, and like the hearts of the sea and the palace are kind of like restoring him. Because like that's probably really interesting. Because when my mind went to the palace, I was in closer proximity to the hearts of the sea, so like my brain probably, and also the Gold Shawl Boy was in Zone 3, so like I wasn't as like captivated, and so like that's what it is. Because Eros' power is like it stems from my like passion and my like desire. And so like I think what's happening is that it's like when the Gold Shawl Boy went back to Zone 3, I had like a little bit of time, just like anybody who's like has jitters or something. like I had a little bit of time to be like, oh, okay, so like now I'm just like in the palace, like doing my palace thing, and I'm not like, like my like neurons and my like endorphins aren't like firing so much, so I'm just like chilling. And then like the gold shawl boy comes to the palace, and I'm like, oh hi, whoa, hello, beautiful person, you're here. That's cool. And so then like when the gold shawl boy arrives in the palace, he's telling Eros like, yeah, I just talked to the people in Zone 3, and like they are like, like their apprehensions, I'm like kind of soothing their apprehensions and stuff, and like kind of revealing to you some of the songs that we've been working, revealing to them some of the songs we've been working on, and like just like the like telling them a little of the world, I couldn't show it to them because I don't have your holograms. And it's like, oh, okay, do you want one? Like I can give you like a little hologram thing, and you can go and show it to them. And it's like, yes, I would like that. And so like that would be really cool. But then there has to be like the like the the it has to like we have to then like transition to like there's something that will like happen that will trigger Eros to like, oh yeah, so maybe what's happening is like this is like where he is like the wolves. Okay, so like the wolves are in the garden. So like the wish is has been granted. Like, because Zone 3, or not Zone 3, the garden did not have wolves in the trailer. And so like that's probably why Valentino said like it didn't work, because he might have been trying to get turned into a wolf or something. I don't really
Oh,
know,
the
but
game's
like
not
that's
done.
probably what was happening in the trailer, is that like those wolves are not in the garden, which then probably was having people in the garden feel like intimidated, because like the seven majors and Lithia, Eros, and Dionysus, the Dionysus temple situation, like had wolves. Like there was like had wolves, and the seven majors had wolves, and the garden didn't. So they were like, and the last time we went to the garden was like, oh, we brought our wolves there and like conquered their kingdom. So I think what happens is like they were intimidated by the wolves because they didn't have any wolves, but then also like they didn't know if like we were gonna come there with wolves again like aggressively. But you're like kind of demonstrating to people. So like we've just talked about that, and it's like, yeah, they were like the garden was a little apprehensive about the wolf situation, and like the Lithians in Zone 3 and like in North Lithia and like in the Zone 4 like were kind of apprehensive about like how we were going to use our wolves, because we had not done that. Like the seven majors sent their wolves to the garden, but like we had not sent our wolves to the garden, and so like some of the apprehensions that were coming from Zone 4 were because of the wolf situation, and like they didn't know how you were going to employ your wolves in the garden. But you just did that and it was fine. So then Eros was gonna be like, oh, my wolves are people are people are like having negative like reactions to my wolves, because I'm very into my wolves. And then you're like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not gonna have people in Zone 3 or Zone 4 like trying to like hinder my wolf pack. So that's that's what's happening now. I do know that's what's happening now, Gold Shawl Boy. Are you encroaching on my wolves? And then it's like, no, I was just telling you like what people feel about the wolves. I didn't say I felt like that about them. Okay, good. All right. And then we're gonna go to the palace balcony, and like we're gonna go and like see Zone 3. And like so what was happening is you went to Zone 3 like as an emissary, kind of to like try to tell them like, hey, like we should follow Ambrodia, like we should follow Eros. Like you went to Zone 3 to be like, hey, we should follow Eros. I'm hanging out with him, he's chill, like I'm learning how to tame him, like he's fine. And so like then like you come to the palace and you're telling him like, hey, like I like what like I sent like I went there to tell them that like to like kind of try to rally them to like South Lithia's cause or whatever, and like to kind of like quell some of their apprehensions that they had, and like I think that they're coming around. And Eros is, but then like so Eros like receives that well, and it's like, oh cool, like that's awesome. And so like they're about to like really solidify this like relationship and this like romance. But then like the wolf situation happens, and like Eros is very aware that we have just like we have just like given the granted the wolf wish to the garden, and so like there's kind of the apprehension of that hasn't like played out in like Eros's mind yet, and so like he doesn't know how that's all going to be received because we just did like the garden festival thing is like happening, the ceremony of wind is happening, and so like the gold shawl boy doesn't like fully isn't fully like cognizant of like what how Eros's mind works, and so like the ceremony of wind is like literally happening as we're like talking about this, and so in Eros's mind, like the ceremony of wind is happening, and like he's not in the garden right now, but he's like overseeing the ceremony of wind. But the gold shawl boy is a Lithian, so like, and he's not like a Lithian that like works for Eros. He's just a Lithian that is like lives in the conquered world that Eros was ruling. So like he doesn't care about the ceremony of wind. He doesn't even know what that is. And so like what's happening is that like Eros is kind of like present at the ceremony of wind, like his mind is, and like so he's overseeing like the wolves being presented, and he's overseeing the like candidates performing in the garden conservatory, but he's also like talking to the gold shawl boy because like that's where his heart is and his soul is, but his brain, like his mind, is in the garden overseeing this thing, but his soul and his heart is with the gold shawl boy. And so like I think what's happening is like he's overseeing the ceremony of wind, and like the gold shawl boy is like telling him that people in Lithia are apprehensive about his wolves, which is like the whole point of the ceremony of wind. Is that like we're like presenting these wolves to the garden, and like we're presenting Lithian wolves to the garden because they've only seen Seven Majors wolves, and like the Seven Majors wolves and the Lithia wolves arrived at the same time, and so like my relationship with my brother Eros and Dionysus, like you're like the Gold Shawl boy is like mentioning these things that the Lithians are apprehensive about that are like literally like referential to something that is currently happening in the garden, the ceremony of wind. And so like that's like kind of stirring up a lot of like emotion in Eros that like the gold shawl boy is kind of like fully perceive, like because like he's talking to me and like he's talking to like a reflection of Dionysus, like the Dionysus symbol, and like he also like has been on this journey to see Dionysus that like Eros doesn't like fully know like what that is, or like, and like he also is he restored Eros to Dionysus. So like the new Eros symbol is actually like the palace. The new Eros symbol in the palace is actually like what the gold shawl boy restored. But like Eros doesn't know that. So like the palace that Eros is in, like literally the palace that Eros is in, is because the gold shawl boy restored that to Dionysus. And so like that's why like the relationship with Eros and the gold shawl boy and like Agnar and Iduna is so like important, and like it's just so like really just so like beautiful because like where Eros like lives literally it's like he didn't like Eros constructed that himself, but like it was constructed but because the gold straw boy restored Eros's like soul and his like vibes to Dionysus, and but like Eros doesn't know that though, and so like I think that that's why it's such a beautiful story because like there's so many like layers of just like emotion and like complexity and like romance and like brotherly love that like are kind of like happening and coalescing in the new Eros symbol, but like Eros doesn't know that like there's like that this like really like really like beautiful like romance that he has with the gold shawl boy, like he doesn't know that like the world that is growing is like his relationship with the gold shawl boy and the restoration of his relationship to his brother. Like he doesn't know that that's how this is manifesting in his heart, and I think that's why it's so beautiful. But I think it is like the darkness of that and the dam and the mist, and like that's like again where the necessity of like this like in like this like kind of like inefficient method of communication, like and like reestablishing a more efficient method of communication is that like Eros is like overseeing the ceremony of wind while in the palace that he constructed with his restored like soul and thawed soul and restored heart, and like he's in this like really like spiritually this like really like spiritually like beautiful world with the gold shawl boy, but like his brain is in like ceremony of wind like defense mode in the garden, and like there's like 18 wolves in the garden that like were just like freshly born, and those two wolves that I burned. And so like he's like has on his mind that he burned those wolves, and he has on his mind that he like burned this forest when he was younger, and like he has on his mind like his battle with Hades in the Nether, and like how Hades burned the forest when he was a kid, and like all of these things that happened that he like doesn't like in all of like his like Olympian life that he was ripped away from, and like he just like has a lot like that he's like that is being like stirred up. And so like why as the ceremony of wind is happening, like that's probably reverberating across like the whole like planet, but like Eros is like the only Eros is the wind, so he can perceive the like ripples of the ceremony of wind, even though like the Gold Shawl Boy does not. And like the Gold Shawl Boy knows that like the palace that they're in was reconstructed because of the journey that he went on, but Eros doesn't know that. And so like I think that that's why it's such a beautiful story. But like so then like he's telling him about the people in Zone Three's apprehension about the wolves, and like kind of like this is kind of like how we can like synchronize the let it go like the let it go transformation that we saw with Elsa transforming to Eugene that's in the trailer, and like Asha transforming to Eugene, whatever, like Hito, all of that that was happening in the Wish trailer. Like this is how that can synchronize with Tarzan, because like the world, like the jungle in Tarzan is like the world that like is the frozen world that Elsa is in, I think. And I think that that's why she goes to Atahalan, because like Atahalan like is San Francisco, but then also like those mountains that she's in looks exactly like the mountains that are in like it looks like exactly like a snow covered like Tarzan world. And that might be why Anna said Arendelle was in deep snow. She was trying to tell her that like that region that she was in is the Tarzan region that she was from. She doesn't really remember. Well, I mean, she remembers that, but she doesn't know that like that's her home. She just thinks that she lives in Arendelle. So like, I think that that's what's happening is that like so like that world is like kind of like the world that we have grown in Lithia and in the Seven Majors. Like that's why there's jungle trees, and then like there's those spruce trees that are in the garden. And so like the ceremony of wind is like happening, and the Gold Shawl Boy is like telling Eros like kind of like how Zone 3 is like what his relationship with like Zone 3 is, and like how the Gold Shawl Boy is trying to like rally Zone 3 to like South Lithia's cause. And so he's like receiving this, and he's like, oh, that's really great, but he's also like like really has a lot of emotions stirred up because the ceremony of wind is happening. He's also trying to like kind of like teach himself and teach the Gold Shawl Boy like how his relationship as with this commoner is going to work, with like him being the king and ruling this whole planet, and then like him having this like king that like is this like spouse king that is like a commoner, which is a really great relationship, and it actually is actually a good thing to do, because like it's like directly connecting him with like the full scale of like the like social classes in Lithia. So like I mean it's actually a great relationship, but like it's not like Eros just doesn't know how to like communicate that. He doesn't know how to like allow the Gold Shawl Boy to like be a commoner in the palace. Like so like that sort of thing is what's happening, is that like he like his relationship with the Gold Shawl Boy is like a suitable relationship, but like he's just so like he just like is so like consumed with the ceremony of wind that he doesn't know how to like pause it, even though the Gold Shawl Boy is like teaching him how to do that. And so I think that that's kind of what it is that it's like he's like the Tarzan world, like the jungle world, like the Gold Shawl Boy is kind of representative of how like the tree houses, like so there's a tree house that Tarzan is found in the in Tarzan. And then he lives in the jungle and there aren't any tree houses. He lives in the jungle the with the gorillas. And then like Jane and the British people come, like Jane and the British people then come, and they are like trying to the intense trying to teach him things. But like I think that like what's happening in Frozen and what like what's happening in Tarzan is that like what needed to be built in the Frozen film, like what Elsa and like even in the Encanto, like they built these like kind of like these kind of like Spanish style houses. But like I think what's happening is that like in Wish and in Frozen 3, like I'm casting my vote for like there to be just these really beautiful like uh kind of like jungle style like jungle wood tree houses that look like the tree house from Tarzan because like that's where I have to go home to, I think, is as like the sandstone of Agrabah and like the sandstone in Paris and the sand in Hunchback and the sandstone in Corona, like these kingdoms and like that's how like the kingdoms will grow. It's like those sandstone kingdoms. Like that's what like in like the like the street life of like the like that Parisian bohemian street life will be like sandstone, like Jasmine Sandstone Palace in the Sandstone Kingdom in Corona. Like that's how the kingdoms will like that's what the architecture of the kingdoms will be. And then like the commoner houses and like just like this like the light like the genuine like livelihood and like just like the normal everyday people like those people will be living in kind of like those jungle tree houses and like that's how the architecture firm will know like how to construct the actual like how to like render this is that like the like jungle trees like those we really just have to restore those like jungle trees because like that's what it is like that's how like the world of like the Lithia world and kind of the seven majors but like the Lithia world will grow is that it's like those jungle tree houses is what has to be like restored in the architecture firm. And so like the Gold Shawl Boy is like kind of like presenting that to Eros and it's like the Heart of the Sea restored. He's restoring like my memory of like what my life was before I came to Kansas and like got trapped here. And so then he's like, then Eros is like, oh, okay. It's like he's kind of remembering. I'm kind of like remembering who I am. And then like he's like, now we're gonna get into like the apprehensions of Zone 3. And so he's like, okay, yeah. So Eros is like, oh, sweet. Now I kind of know like what we need to do. But in learning what we need to do, I like when I know like when I don't know what it is that I'm doing, like I like kind of like there's a lot that happens and there's a lot of wind that gets like rustled up and then like it like coalesces into the orb and then I do know what to do because like my brain isn't like my neurons aren't firing as much and so then I do know what to do and I'm not as scatterbrained anymore but then I'm like very like determined at that point because it's like oh I know what I need to do now and so like I can't have anything like detract from that. And so then just like Baymax find Callahan in like the Strange World Turtle scene and like the Hito eye, the Magnifico eyes in Wish, it's like, oh, I just like figured out what I have to do and you just told me that like it is like some apprehensions that the people in zone 3 have because like they have not decided whether they're going to like follow us like you and I because we're in a relationship now so like they have not decided whether they're going to follow us or not and like you're telling me that you just went there like as an emissary to like try to convince them to follow us and that didn't work and that to try to convince zone 4 to follow us and like that didn't work or like try to convince them to follow us and not follow zone 4 or whatever and that didn't work that's what you just told me my lovely spouse my partner like that's what you just told me is that like they are apprehensive about whether they should follow zone 3 or zone 4 and so then Eros goes to like my I go to the chest that's in the palace and I get my bow and you're like you see the bow and like you know that Eros has the bow but like this is the first time like they were wondering if like when you're going to present yourself we'll manifest an Eros photo of this they were wondering when you were going to present yourself well is that what you're doing right now what do you think? And so then, like, I get out of the bow, and you're like, hey, Eros, what are you doing? And then it's like, I go to the balcony of the palace, and like, even like Eros, like, Eros can see Zone 4 and Zone 3 from the palace. The Gold Shell Boy cannot. So like, this is like giving me like the full scope. Like Moana, nobody knows how deep it goes. Like she's looking off into the horizon. Like this is how far away Zone 3 is from the palace. But Eros can see Zone 3 and Zone 4. The Gold Shell Boy can't. He just sees the horizon. And so then, like, Eros goes to the balcony of the palace, and he has the bow. And like again, like it's also really interesting because all he sees is that he has a bow, but all he knows about arrows is that like he has bows and like Cupid like can shoot arrows at people and make people fall in love or something. Which again, I don't. That's a superstition. Like that's not a real thing. I don't think. But like I think what's happening is that it's like Eros has this bow and like the gold shawl boy sees it and like he was already like falling in love with Eros, but like he sees that he has the bow now and he's like, whoa, what is about to happen? Like what is about to happen to me? Are you about to shoot me with this bow? And then Eros is like, do you think I'm about to shoot you with this bow? And then like the gold shawl boy is like, kind of, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then he's like, oh, and he like is like, oh, okay, cool. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna shoot you with the bow because I don't need to. And you're like, what? And then like Gold Shaw Boy is like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And then like Eros is like, you're in love with me, so why would I shoot you with the arrow? And then the Gold Shaw Boy is like, then why do you have the bow? The arrow it's an arrow. You shoot an arrow, and then it like glides in the air like with wind, you know? So it's like the G force of me like shooting the bow with like my muscles, like that is it's not the arrow that is like it's not the arrow that draws the desire or like ignites a person's desire. It's my muscles. It's my ligaments. It's my brain. It's the direction and from which I shoot the arrow. It's the way that the wind, like, it's the way that the wind travels the arrow because of how I aimed the arrow. It's my mastery. It's my skill. It awes them. It doesn't make them fall in love with me. That's not what the bow does. It's not what the arrow does. It awes them. It's desire. When I was little, I was trapped in an hourglass, and my brother broke the hourglass. And there were sands that, like, he saved me, and I was lying in sand, and he saved me from the sand. And I learned quite recently that sands, just kind of like the silicone in our skin, just kind of like, golden dust on the beach. Like, it's like divine dust, and it's kind of like when you get a sunburn. Like, it's something that is so subtle, like just like the rays of the sun, where you're just like enjoying the sunny day, and then all of a sudden you realize that you have a sunburn because you were so captivated in your enjoyment that you burned your skin. And it's like that's kind of what the arrow is. They're so captivated by this world, just like a frog boiling in a pot. They're so captivated by this world. They're so captivated by how new it is. They're so captivated by my beautiful, delicious vocal quality. And they're allowing themselves to be intoxicated. They're allowing themselves to be distracted, like I'm distracted by you right now, Goldshaw Boy. They're allowing themselves to succumb to this culture war that is happening with Zone 4. And I have been so patient with Zone 4. I have been so patient with the elders and their never ending chain. But you know what? I am not patient anymore. I have run out of patience. And so this is what is about to happen. North Lithia is stationed in South Lithia and in the Garden and in Kumantra. And so what is going to happen now is I am going to incentivize Zone 3 to follow us, and we are going to reveal our relationship to Zone 3. We're going to reveal our relationship to Zone 4. We're going to reveal our relationship to my brother Dionysus in the Seven Majors. And then what is going to happen is we are going to rule Lithia together because you, my love, are the only person here that is even remotely on the level that I am. And so, patience that I have with your these commoners, your neighbors in Zone 3 has run out. So this is what is about to happen to Zone 3. You're going to shoot an arrow at them? Yes, I am. I'm gonna shoot this arrow, and then they are going to receive all of the wind from the ceremony of wind. They are going to be captivated by the ceremony of wind. They're going to view the ceremony of wind on every screen, on every mural, on every mobile device. They are going to see the ceremony of wind, and they are going to believe that they are falling in love with the palace. They're going to believe that they're falling in love with Eros because that's what wind is. That's what wind does. It's so soft. It's so gentle. It's just like a little breeze. And it is so easy to mistake that for something that it isn't. And they are all going to believe that they are falling in love with Eros. They're going to all believe that I have fallen in love with Zone 3. But the truth, my love, the truth, I do not, the truth, Gold Shaw Boy, is that I am only in love with you, and that you are becoming king. And this ceremony of wind, this arrow that I'm about to shoot at Zone 3, at your neighbors, this arrow that I'm going to shoot at the heart of Lithia, that is how they are going to know, and that is what they're going to learn over the course of our rule, what an arrow actually is. Because an arrow is not what you fell in love with. You fell in love with me. Arrows. Put the bow back in the chest. I think we should go home, Rose. Are you sure that you can be king of Lithia? Gold Shovelin. Yes. Are you sure you want to marry me? Gold Shovelin. Yes. Okay. Then we'll go home. Thank you, Rose. Okay, so then the scene, like, I do know, like, the Gold Shaw boy, like, will be going, and, like, so he's going to turn, like, back and like going back into the balcony, kind of like the scene where Aladdin and Jasmine kiss on the balcony. The gold shawl boy will like turn to go back to the palace, um, and this is gonna kind of be like a similar scene to like the scene of like the scene where we see Agnar and Iduna, where Iduna goes to like sleep, and then we see like the King Runar scene where Elsa gets like sees the King Runar scene and then gets frozen. Like this can be kind of like the actual version of that scene where like Iduna is like going to sleep or whatever, like the spirits go to sleep, like she's about to go to sleep, and is going back like the Gold Shawl boy is going back into the palace, and like she's going, like she turns and goes back to the palace, like Jasmine goes back to the palace after the Aladdin kiss, and like we don't see, like all we see is the Gold Shawl boy's like perspective, and then like Eros like moves out of like focus or whatever, like not he's like not in frame, and so like Iduna is going back into the palace, and then we just see like a light show of like flames that is just like engulfs like the palace. Like the palace doesn't get burned, but like it's like it off in the horizon. Like you see like in the distance, like kind of like you just see like the light of a like a very large explosion in the distance. It doesn't incinerate the palace like the gold Void does not get like incinerated or anything, but like he just sees a light show of a like an explosion that happens in the distance, and like he turns back around and sees that like Eros has like shot the arrow, and like he it's like the explosion is so far in the distance that like all he sees is like that kind of like the knowing, and like in the explosion in the film knowing, and like the arrow in that Artemisia shoots. Like it'll be like literally like that same scene, and like he'll just see arrows like that is just like standing on the balcony, and it's like, and then like kind of like a scene similar is like he's like he'll just see him standing there and like see all of the light of this like these flames that he knows is like directionally like where Zone 3 is, and then like Eros is just like standing on the balcony, and he's like yes, now we will go home. And then like that's like the actual story of the Enchanted Forest, and that's why like Elsa, like it's like Elsa can see the story more clearly than Anna can. That's why Elsa like is like looks super scared, and like Anna is like in awe of it because Elsa's magical and Elsa's North Ultra. So like Elsa knows what the story is, and like Anna doesn't, and like that's what the actual story of the Enchanted Frozen scene is.